Hi, welcome to Math 1040. It's a pleasure to be your instructor for this course. I just want to walk you through the logistics of this class, and so we'll pick up with the syllabus. Um, so I'm going to announce my office hours next week, or at the end of this first week. They most likely will be on Wednesday and Friday around noon, and I'll post the details here. You can meet me either in my office or virtually. I expect there to be a lot of asynchronous interaction, so just know when you email me, you should email me at this email address. And sometimes with all the things going on and multiple online classes, a response can take up to 1 to 2 days. So just know that a response may not be immediate, especially when things get really busy in the semester. When you email me, there's a couple of things that are really helpful, which is just take a screenshot of the question that you're having an issue with. Okay. What class you're in. So be sure to put Math 1040. Otherwise, I teach multiple classes, so I won't know how to help you or where to look. Then your name can be useful as well. Okay. You can include your W number if you like. One thing that I also want to note is that if you email me on Friday, if it is, in the evening or at night, I may not respond, and so you should consider that an email that's going to be read on Monday, because on the weekends I'm with my family. Okay. Now, the text for this course, you can use any of these, or I've had students that are completely happy just using my lecture notes and online materials. The textbook, as designated by the math department, is the one that's in bold here. So ultimately, the choice of how you learn is up to you, and so you get to make that decision. Okay. The grading for this course is 15% for a signature assignment, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. 30% for the weekly homework, 15% for each exam, then 25% for the final exam. Then your exam dates are listed here. Okay. Something that you should just be aware of is that there's a late penalty of 5% per day. So please do submit your work late and get some credit for it, but the sooner the better. Okay. Please, be aware this is an online class, so there's a bit of work that you're going to have to do, such as working on homework or watching video lectures or reading your textbook or class notes that you're going to need to do. This is also a sustainable class. Okay. So for the sustainable learning outcomes, it is to comprehend the interconnection between environmental, social, and economic systems as it relates to sustainability, and to interpret statistical analysis to answer scientific questions, but also it could be questions that relate to society or to the economy or to the environment. Okay. And how strong or how sure you can be of your conclusions. Okay. Because remember, in statistics, things can be random. Okay. Part of your signature assignment relates, well, not part, but most of it relates to the sustainability aspect. So you have a signature assignment, and you can complete this in groups of 1 to 3. If you need a fourth one, you can email me and ask if you have a friend that you really want to include. And the length of the submission should be about 2 to 4 pages. Okay, you need to address these big questions. And there's also a quiz that is aimed to help you with your signature assignment, and that's part of it. Okay. Now, one thing that I'll note is that all WSU GE courses must have a signature assignment. Okay. And here is some of the verbiage or requirements from the university. Okay. Okay. So I'll let you read kind of the rest of this. Your grades are determined according to these percentages. Okay. Then just the last thing is that I just want everyone to be professional in this class. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Let me talk a little bit more about the signature assignment. Okay. So your signature assignment, your final submission, is a paper that is 2 to 4 pages, and you'll need to write about any topic related to sustainability. So it's really broad. This could be a research article related to analysis in the lecture notes. It could be on the Salt Lake City temperature analysis quiz itself. It could be based on this cloud seeding report. You need to address these 3 bullets, and you can't use the AI to assist you in writing your paper. Okay. So why is the topic you chose related to sustainability? Okay, and this is the harder one for students. Select at least 2 different aspects of the analysis, and broadly almost all analyses, okay, and this is something that you need to make sure is suitable for your article or data that you chose, is that to make sure it has a graphical display of data, a confidence interval, a hypothesis test, and then discuss other types of conclusions that can be made. So you need to be sure to discuss at least 2 of these items. Okay. You also need to be sure to explain the conclusion and application. Okay. In addition. Okay. Okay. And then the last thing is why you chose your topic and how it appealed to you, or why it should appeal to people generally. Okay. Okay, so there is a Salt Lake City temperature quiz. So if you click on that, it'll take you to this page, and you'll be asked to answer questions related to your course. And so this is a quiz based on this data set, okay, taken from the Salt Lake City weather station. I'm not going to show you all the quiz because I don't want you to, necessarily see the answers, but the questions here relate to the entire course as a cumulative. Okay. This is a timed quiz, so do not take this quiz unless you're prepared to take it within the time limit. Okay. So once again, I want to emphasize this is a timed quiz, and once you open it, you must take it, regardless of anything else. Okay. Okay, so that's your Salt Lake City temperature analysis quiz. Now, one option, and this is perhaps the easiest, but you can do anything that you like because this is a very wide open assignment. One option for this signature assignment is just to take various items from these multiple choice quizzes, okay, and to cut and paste, copy it, screenshot it, and discuss these items for the second bullet point. And I said students struggle with the second bullet point no matter what they choose typically, But if you choose the Salt Lake City temperature analysis quiz, it's meant to streamline this bullet point um, because I'd like to offer an option where it's a little bit, more streamlined. You don't have to do the Salt Lake City temperature analysis. You could do the DNR report instead. It's a very popular option. And so there are other options out there. Now, there are lots of articles related to temperatures that are in news articles or in journals or what have you, and you can use those to address this first bullet point. And typically students don't have much trouble with that. Okay, so now let's talk about this main page. So you're going to generally have a quiz each week. This first one's on data collection, and here's the slides for it. In week 3, you have you have a quiz on summarizing and understanding data, and here's the slides for that. Here's your quiz in week 4, and here's your lecture notes for that. Then in week 7, you have your exam. So you have a review for it, you have an exam, and one thing I'd like to note is that there's a review for each of your exams, but not for your final exam. Okay. So that's the general structure of the class, is you have about a quiz each week, except when you have exams. When you take your quiz, I'm going to take this syllabus quiz, and let me go back into student mode. When you take your quizzes, you need to be a little bit careful about when you take your exam. So I'll note that most of your quizzes or homeworks, you have 2 attempts. Some of them are timed, some of them are untimed. This one's untimed. So be careful if it is timed, because you have to take it in that time period if it is timed. And one of the ones that is timed is the Salt Lake City temperature analysis quiz. Okay. So here you don't have a time limit, and your scores will be averaged of the 2. Okay. Okay, so here I just want to emphasize you need to select all answers that apply. So if, for example, you miss a possible response, you're not going to get full credit. Or if you select an incorrect answer, you're not going to get full credit. Okay, now I'm just going to select these 2, and I'm going to submit it. Okay, so I want to point something out. In this second one, I got no points. I didn't select a correct answer. Okay, in this first one, well, let's look at it. I selected 2 correct and 1 incorrect. Okay, so I didn't get very many points, not just because I didn't select all the right answers, but because the incorrect answer is worth negative points. So for example, if I was to select these 2 and these 2 and these 2, okay, I want to show you, look, I got 0 out of 5 points because I selected an incorrect answer. So 1 incorrect, 1 correct. The incorrect answer is worth negative points. So be careful what you select. Okay. Again, the same thing happened here. I got 0 points, 1 correct, 1 incorrect. Okay. Same thing in this third question. 1 correct, 1 incorrect. Okay. So it's important to not select incorrect answers. Okay. Okay. Now, something else I want to show you is that when I go to take a weekly quiz, such as summarizing and understanding data, okay, it's going to load up the PowerPoint slides and the video recordings that you can watch as your lecture. Then here's your optional reading, okay, and we can click begin here. Okay. And you can see here still the links, the PowerPoint, your video lectures, your textbook readings. Then you have to answer these multiple choice questions. Some of these will be a single selection and some of them will be multiple selection. So here's a multiple selection. Select all answers that apply. So just be careful, if it's a single response, multiple response, and if it's a multiple response, selecting the correct answers and not the incorrect ones. Okay, so that's just something I want to show you. So the general outline of this course, is just to follow the modules each week and complete the weekly quiz. Okay. I hope that during the course of this class that you learn some of the applications of statistics and that you find it interesting and fascinating. Okay. Thank you very much.